Hello again, everyone. Edwin Leonard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Mercury transiting the ninth house in a natal chart. Now, if your house size is average size, say it's 30 degrees, then you're looking at Mercury, if it is direct the whole time of the transit, to be in that house for roughly 2 to 4 weeks on average. Now, say your house is larger and or Mercury is in retrograde motion for any part of the transit, then you could be looking at a longer period that Mercury will traverse that house. Now, anyway, the first thing is, well, with Mercury transiting, your natal ninth house, well, there could be more communication with in-laws if you do have in-laws. It could be a period where these in-laws might be a little bit more loquacious. They might be more verbose. They might be a lot more talkative than usual. You might be, it could be that siblings or neighbors might be involved, maybe a little bit more, maybe in connection with your philosophies, maybe your religious outlook. This could be a period where maybe your mind is really more expansive now. You're ready to maybe kind of go beyond the box or out of the box, so to speak, even if you are a rather maybe conservative type of person or very set in certain ways. Your mind might be a little bit more pliable now, and you may be thinking about maybe abstract thinking might be more prominent during this period than usual. You might be more apt to have more philosophical discussions with others, talking about maybe things of like a broad subject. You're not really, generally in this transit, you're not so much about dissecting details or being punctilious with details and looking at every little nuance of any topic or what have you, but you're looking more at the broader scope, and really you're really more about ideas right now, and you might have a plethora of them, and a myriad of maybe ideas, and you might want to they might be grandiose, and you might be trying to formulate maybe some plan to make them come to fruition. Now, this could be a time where you could be more jocular, a little bit more whimsical. Not Your disposition might be less serious than generally speaking. You might like to joke more with others during this time. It could be maybe a time where you might be more inclined to play practical jokes on others, like a whoopee cushion, for example. Maybe you might have more conversations associated with religion and theology at this time, more so than usual. If you're not currently part of a religious congregation and you're looking to go into one, or you're searching for that right one, this might be the time where you're doing a lot more thinking and contemplating regarding this. Now, this could also be a more a transit where your outlook is basically where you're a little bit more maybe optimistic and expansive, more exuberant. Your mind might be thinking more positively than ordinarily during this time. Even if you are a generally more pessimistic person, you might be looking at things now where you're trying to see the positive in the glass half full, so to speak, philosophy. It might be a more auspicious and favorable time for publishing, if you, especially if you are somebody that is a writer. And of course, having something like a positive aspect to Jupiter at some point in the transit could actually even really make it more beneficial for that, of course. So this is something where you might feel like at this particular point in time, you might have some travel plans. You might be thinking about going on a long distance journey somewhere, and your mind might be really strongly considering this, even if you're the kind of person that's generally more stagnant and stationary than the average person. Even if you don't travel that much, this could be something where you're at least maybe trying to come up with a plan to maybe travel abroad or even go to another country. You might have more correspondence right now with people that are in foreign countries. You might not necessarily be in one or visit one, but you might, like say on the internet, you might be corresponding with people from other countries. Currently I have Pluto transiting my ninth house in my natal chart, and there's a number of people I've been speaking with, corresponding with on the internet from that are in other countries right now. So anyway, really this is a time where you might be somebody that you might decide to enroll maybe in a college course if you're not currently enrolled in one. It might be a time where you might become more learned in a subject in some kind of post high school study. It could even be something where you go on the internet and try to learn something, which is like a post high school study. It doesn't necessarily, I don't think, have to be in a college setting. It could just be something that you're trying to learn online, for example. So, well, it's also important to look at the sign that Mercury is in during this transit to the ninth house, as this could flavor the transit. Now, let's say that Mercury is in Scorpio for either the majority or the whole time of its transit in the ninth house. Well, this could be a period where it might really, you might be thinking about maybe some kind of transformation with your philosophies, and maybe if you have in-laws, if you're having discussions with them, it can indicate maybe some emotional intensity connected with it, some probing, even perhaps. And if you're really, and say if you're trying to find that right, maybe that college to go to, say, you might be really doing some strong, extensive, investigative type research into that particular one. Now, let's say that Mercury is in Sagittarius for either the majority or the whole time of this transit in the ninth house. Well, this could indicate that you might be having some philosophical discussions with a lot of exuberance and a really good positive type attitude, a lot of enthusiasm in this, and in a way where you're very positive during this time. So another thing to look at are aspects that are made to your natal planets and points in your chart by this transit. Now, as that could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that transiting Mercury is making a square, inconjunct, or opposition to your natal Neptune at this time. Now, that could indicate perhaps there may be some confusion or ambiguity, maybe perhaps in some conversations, perhaps with whether it's with in-laws or something connected with philosophies, opinions, something maybe even associated with religion, or something maybe even with the law. Now, this could even, let's say for another example, let's say that transiting Mercury in the ninth house is making a sextile or trine to your natal Pluto. Well, this could be auspicious perhaps for some kind of transformation, maybe in the way, maybe as far as philosophical thinking goes. It could be something where maybe someone tries to maybe you try to change somebody's outlook, their philosophical outlook for the better, or maybe even, let's say, in-laws. It could be more possible for maybe some positive change, maybe as far as in terms of communicate, as far as something with the way you're communicating with them, and it could be just changing, maybe transforming their way of thinking, for example. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Mercury transiting the ninth house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Mercury transiting the 10th house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.